So wait, you were
Okay.
telling that you had something around the mentor.
So I've been like in touch with a lot of PhD students uh, on campus,
Hmm.
and also a lot of like at Georgia Tech there's this startup lab, okay, like a bunch of uh, grad students, undergrad students, just who just want to like do their own thing,
Hmm.
uh, do like getting connected to VCs and so on. So the role of mentorship uh, in both of these places is something that I've like felt very strongly. So in case of PhD students, like I've talked to three PhD students who are like working under really like top-notch researchers.
Hmm.
And one interesting thing that I found was like right from their undergrad, they had they had like very strong mentors who constantly gave them direction on what to research, what to specialize in, and in general, like for example, like there's this guy who is researching cross architecture, like machine learning, essentially like transferring knowledge from one architecture of networks to like another.
Hmm.
And this guy like like had such a great start to his academic career right from like the first year of his undergrad.
Hmm.
And the reason why he got so much done is because he had uh, mentors who were willing to uh, spend effort on him. uh, like if you were to do this, like, if you were to try to become like a researcher on your own, there's a lot of mistakes that you would have to make. There's a lot of directions in which you would have to look, eliminate some options. So I would essentially say that was like an expensive, if you were to like compare it to compute, there's a lot of compute that you would have to spend if you
Hmm.
were to figure out like academia my journey on your own. But this guy, who's like one of the, like I said, top notch research like PhD students here, had mentors like from a very early age. And I
Hmm.
saw this was common amongst all PhD students. Like they had really sorted publications right before they reached undergrad, and I think that this does not have a lot to do with their ability or their aptitude. Like a lot of it has to do with the fact that they had mentoring like very early on.
Yeah.
And now like another thing that I also observed in the other group, which is like I just know one startup founder, but he has like he's like in the final year of his master's program, but he already has secured funding for his startup. He has like 2,000 or so users on his app
Hmm.
or something. Uh, and he had mentors outside of academia, and I kind of realized that okay, having a mentor sort of uh, like if you are a student, if your starting point is A, and you're trying to produce like an output Y, whatever you do in between is I view it as a computation, and
Hmm.
having a mentor is just like a really
Bypassing a lot
optimized
of these
version of that
things.
compute.
Hmm.
Yeah, and it kind of hurts me because like I know like from my dad, he some of the, I say, regrets that he has in his life is he was really smart, but there weren't a lot of people who could show him direction. Like he's
Right.
essentially a first generation engineer, and he could have he does say that he could have like made it much bigger if he had like direction in life, but
Hmm.
he didn't. And that's something that I think people don't realize. Ki if you do not have a mentor, versus having a mentor is such a huge like game changer.
Hmm.
uh, just someone to reduce that compute for you, reduce a couple of steps.
Yeah, it's
I know, like
yeah, I've been thinking about this a lot. So even recently, right now, like like you, even I want to get into phase where like I'm working on something that I like, and it may not be the most high paying thing, but it's like a consistent paying background kind of a job.
Hmm.
But then I want to start up essentially, right? Like I want to build my own bootstrap company of sorts. But here is the challenge. So I see Shark Tank. I see a lot of these people coming in with like I'll call them, they're not very extravagant ideas. They are like basic ideas but implemented well. But
Hmm.
that is where I get stuck in. So I feel like whenever I watch Shark Tank, like 7 out of the 10 ideas, I have come up with it myself. But I don't know
Hmm.
how to go from having an idea to getting that execution done. And one thing that I've
Hmm.
noticed in Shark Tank is a lot of the people come with this industrial background or a business background where either they are in touch with family members or like in a close community of business persons, and they kind of know how to navigate that world of business, the world of startup. So they know
Hmm.
who to ask for funding, who they can approach to get their prototypes built, how they can scale it up, and
Hmm.
all of that. So all of this is very theoretical in my head, but they,
Hmm.
like, even if they have not gone to top-notch business schools, they have this hands-on knowledge or the close connect with people that I still view as some form of mentorship. That they just have a
Hmm.
direction of where to get started from. And I think that's very, very, like, people neglect that a lot. Like
Hmm.
there's one side of people who say that, like if you work hard enough, you can do anything. But
Hmm.
generally speaking, in this world, it feels like if you're lucky enough to be in the right place at the right time, you get much, much further ahead. And like mentorship can be one of those pivotal things, saying that even if you're not in the right place, if you have the right person guiding you along, they can take care of a lot of these obstacles that you might hit and like guide you. So you say, okay, okay, don't do this course, do that course, don't go to talk to this person. This is how you actually make a business plan, whatever it is.
Hmm. 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 Uh,
Mm,
yeah, tell me one thing. Like, mentoring is, say, one of these factors. Like, suppose you are on a very unfair playing field where
mm,
some person has a great mentor, some person has extreme generational wealth, some
mm.
person just has off the charts IQ. I like, what other moves could you do on this playing field to make it like a level playing field? Like my view is like one of the factors that you said, just moving to the right place could be one way to make the playing field more fair.
Mm.
Like what other, like mentor is one, moving to a play like a better place is other. Like a lot of
Finding,
people I think that move.
mm.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, go on,
What,
go
what?
on.
No, I was just saying like a lot of people that move countries
Mm.
uh, are essentially optimizing for like money, and they are like, okay, just moving to a country with higher, like a better like purchasing power, or in general
Mm.
stronger currency is maybe one way to make the playing field more fair. But yeah, what were you saying?
One radical thing that you could do is not play the game at all. Like, which essentially, okay, what I'm trying to say is, like, there are these super smart people, super rich people,
Hmm.
super directed people who are going after these problem statements. But
Hmm.
they may be the top problem statements, but there are a bunch of these smaller problem statements that they're not even looking at, right?
Hmm.
And
Okay. Hmm.
which could
Hmm.
be your thing. Like, you don't have to be the biggest company, the richest person in the world. You could be like you could have a very loyal fan following of this one particular product that you're building, and it doesn't have more than 100K users at max, let's say, right? And
Hmm.
maybe not even 100K, maybe 10K users, but they are paying users and they like the product that they use. Maybe you derive satisfaction out of just having something that people use and love to use. And it doesn't have to be a company. You're not targeting to beat Apple in its market capital.
Hmm. Fair. I see. I see. Okay, so this is essentially equivalent to like uh so okay, when you say you don't participate in this game at all, uh, isn't
Like
it? Okay.
find a better niche. Like you know
Okay.
that you are much outgunned in these fields. So like
Hmm.
if you go into this one of these fields, you are going to end up losing. So like at some
Hmm.
point, it's almost like why even try playing these games when you can be playing some other games.
Hmm.
But if you
Fair.
do want to get
Fair.
into one of these games, like for whatever reason, that is your goal to do. One of the other things that one of my friends has told is if you want to go far, go with people. If you want to go fast, go alone. Like
Hmm.
find a group of people who you can depend on and then work together to build something. That almost always have seen work out. Like the
Hmm.
solo founders and all of that. So there are a bunch of these stories that solo founders are very rare, like extremely rare,
Fair.
unless they have like a really good backing, like a family support, money backing, whatever that is, right?
Hmm.
More often than not, it is like people coming together to build something. And
Hmm.
of course, there is this upper limit of a lot of chefs in the kitchen also. But like some two, three
Hmm.
people, if you're getting together, they have they're bringing in their own strengths, and then you're doing something. So not individually, you may not be as good, but you know that apes together strong, wala thing.
Ah. Okay. Hmm. 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 Oh, fair. Fair. That makes sense. But like one of the reasons I would, okay, like solo founders, yes, like
If
ideally that would be.
that is if you want to play the big game, if you're targeting like conquering a market kind of a thing. But if you are
Hmm.
doing bootstrap, like if you want a small side hustle that pays the bills and you're happy with it, you're working like some 2 hours a day and everything seems fine, then yeah, solo
Hmm.
founder is the way to go.
Hmm. Fair. 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 Hmm. There are still like advantages of uh, competing in like a really cutting edge market where you have like really insane players. It's
Hmm?
just that even if you don't get to the top, and even if you're like somewhere in the middle, you still get a pretty decent cut of the pie, uh, which may be uh, which may work out again. No, it's still a bit inchoate. I'll have to think a bit more on this, but
The
let's see.
only thing that I can think of along those lines is when like competitors are actively competing and losing money. It's the I don't know if it's the Amazon model or the Microsoft model where they go into
Hmm.
a new market, pump in a bunch of money just to acquire the whole market share, and
Hmm.
then they get into the business. Okay, so they'll run the company in loss for like 10 years until they are the dominant player,
Hmm.
and then the actual business starts of making money. If you're in that
Hmm.
stage and you're competing, then so if like we kind of knew, right? Like some 5 years ago when there was Amazon, Flipkart, Snapdeal, all of these players. At the end
Hmm.
of the day, there's going to be like one or two players standing. Turns out it is Flipkart and Amazon right now. And a
Right.
bunch of
Hmm.
these other players just they kind of knew the I don't know actually. So when they knew that someone like Amazon is coming in and Flipkart is already present, what is the motivation for Jabong or Snapdeal to come in and say that, like I also want to play the same game?
Hmm. Hmm.
Why would they even step into the arena?
Hmm. Well, agreed. What if like they think that, okay, so one of the obvious like motivations that I do feel is if these newcomers have like a very strong backing, like
Hmm.
they have deep like pockets, like someone willing to fund them, then
Hmm.
essentially you you do have ample opportunity to uh, like I would say dethrone the top competitors just by providing minor improvements or slightly
Hmm.
better user experience and so on. Like for that in general happens, right? Like even
Yeah.
when Yahoo was like pretty famous and popular, like Google just came in and decided that they'll also try to compete with the top search engine that was out there. So
Hmm.
I mean, of course, like Google was. I don't think they were like really well funded also, but uh, I think like in general, I don't see a lot of problem with
No,
like if
if
there's
you
an
have money, that makes sense. So because it is a game of throwing money at acquiring users, then the deeper the
hmm,
pockets, then of course you're going to jump into the market and do your thing. But if you don't have money, do you still have an incentive to start competing against the giants?
I think
Do
so. Yeah. Like I think giants inevitably do fumble quite a lot. Like Perplexity, for example, like
Hmm.
Perplexity does have decent funding. Like I wouldn't say like they weren't like super well funded, but uh, there was a time when Google search results started becoming quite shit. Like
Hmm.
they started just getting ads on the top,
Hmm.
and then Perplexity somehow started getting like Perplexity is still pretty mid, I would say, but they started advertising themselves as like uh, the search engine that CEOs use, just because like some CEO tweeted that Perplexity is really good and so on, and then it started
Hmm.
getting perceived as like an like an engine that uh, again like something that gives you the results right away rather than spamming you with ads. Like I think that Google can still easily beat Perplexity. It's just that it's become quite big. Like one of the complaints that I also have with another giant is Adobe. Like Adobe
Hmm.
had so much capital, like that they had so many resources to essentially start the generative AI uh, effort by themselves. But it's not them. Like they like it's Stability AI, like some other labs that did generative AI before them, and of
Hmm.
course they now have the resources to like essentially develop their own tools, hire better researchers, and so on. But I think that in general, giants tend to fumble quite a lot. Like they uh, it's hard to like maintain a sense of direction, I guess. Like at least that's what seems to happen with Google. Microsoft is
Hmm.
still like making it pretty big. uh, Amazon also doesn't seem to uh, fumble much, but like I do see that if there is like a large giant making like some mistake, like fumbling a bit, I don't see why you cannot just enter like capitalize or exploit that blunder that they just made. I think that
Hmm.
should be good enough reason for you to not even if you're not like a well funded startup. Like I would of course say that you'd have to be like exceptionally
Yeah.
like talented team uh, and developing like a really good solution. Like for example, do you know Arc browser?
Yes. Yeah.
Have you used it?
I have an invite. One time that I tried using it, it just got stuck in my laptop. So like
Okay.
I didn't get far along. But I've been hearing like rave reviews about the user interface, the way it is changing the way that we can browse internet right now.
Have you used you use Edge, right? Have you used Microsoft Edge?
Yes. Yeah.
So like Edge may you will see like they have this ability to just give you uh tabs on the like left hand side, like
Hmm.
vertical tabs. Like that is
Hmm.
something that's a user experience that I can never go back from.
Yeah.
Like now one more thing that Edge also does is like it adds like Copilot uh directly on the right hand side along with some other Microsoft K apps.
Hmm.
Now if you compare it with Arc has also essentially like its ability to give you extensions and like give you like compartmentalized workspaces and all. It's pretty nice.
Hmm.
Uh, but like again, like the reason why I bring up Arc is like they're trying to get into like the browser ka market, and like vast majority of browsers are currently Chrome or
Chromium.
based on
Hmm.
Chromium,
Hmm.
and Arc is like completely like I think built from scratch and so on. Uh, I don't know what's the engine. I could
Hmm.
be wrong, but uh, the interface that they are essentially building, they do have some like good users. Like there are users who think that that interface is literally made for them, and
Hmm.
it kind of makes sense, man. Like uh, the Edge ka vertical tabs is such a tiny thing, but Edge was the one who made it popular for the first time. There's another thing that I use so much in Edge, that is like split tabs, like
Yeah.
split windows within
Hmm.
a browser, and that was not something that Chrome had. Like I used to just create two windows, put them side by side, and now if you look at Arc has gone even further, and it like allows you VS Code level of windowing on your uh, within your browser, and I think that's like, as a programmer, that's like super useful.
Hmm.
Maybe that's like a very niche user base, but if I'm creating a product trying to like compete with like a really large giant, I think if I'm able to build a very highly specific product that only some niche audience will be using, I think that's good enough, right? Like you'll still have a
Yeah.
pretty large piece of the pie, like not super large, but whatever piece you get, that'll probably be good enough
No, yeah.
to
So that's the thing. So if you have deep pockets, then you're going after like the crown of the giants themselves. But if you don't
hmm
have deep pockets, if you can find your niche and you have an
right.
extremely limited, not limited, extremely small, talented group of people who are trying to crack that niche, then yeah, that's another
Hmm.
way to go about like taking some of the pie from the giants. So
Hmm.
like you mentioned, there's one other thing that is one other company that is going after Google's search engine. Have you heard of Kagi?
Kagi, no, 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 no.
S-
Interesting.
so they are uh, they actually made their whole I don't know what you call it, market proposition, or like they made their whole job harder by being one of the first search engines with a subscription model.
Okay, interesting.
So
Subscription model. Okay.
so you're actually paying to do some number of searches every month. I think it is $10 or $15 per month right now, and it is pretty
Hmm.
expensive. But then they're backing it up with extremely good search results. They're saying that
Ah.
you are coming in to do some work, and we'll get the work done. We'll make sure that
Hmm.
you get really high quality search results, and it's going to be worth the money that you are paying. And
Ah.
it
Okay.
has its own
Interesting.
smaller niche audience. That's obviously my dad is not going to be using Kagi. He like it doesn't like he can't even imagine. I can't even imagine paying for a search engine.
Hmm. Right. Right. Right.
But
Right. Makes sense.
there are going to be people who appreciate having not going through like some seven different search pages to finally get what they want and immediately getting it.
Hmm.
And there are people who are willing to pay for it. So yeah, so finding a niche, yeah, but that's the hard part, isn't it? Like if you are building something new, if you're looking after a side hustle, finding your niche is going to be the toughest part of the whole journey, I feel.
Hmm. Fair. That is fair. That is fair.